What happens when we die? Is it just darkness? Or is there a realm beyond our comprehension, where the souls of the departed continue their existence? Today's story is both chilling and eye-opening. A woman dies, crosses over to the other side, and returns with revelations that could change how you view life, death, and everything in between. What she discovered about what dead people are actually doing will leave you stunned. Stay with me until the end, because the truth might be far stranger than you've ever imagined. The woman described her death not as an abrupt end, but as a smooth transition. She recalled floating above her body, watching paramedics work frantically to revive her. But she felt no pain, only an overwhelming sense of calm. According to her, dying wasn't terrifying, it was freeing. She described feeling her spirit peel away from her physical body, like slipping out of tight clothing. Instantly, she was surrounded by light and warmth, but not the light people often describe. Instead, she found herself in a realm bustling with energy, as if she had stepped into a hidden world always humming behind reality. This first moment revealed something shocking. Death isn't silence or nothingness, it's activity. She realized souls weren't simply resting in eternal sleep, they were busy, engaged, and purposeful. The passage into death was more like stepping into another dimension, one where the living have no eyes to see. She described being met by others, not just relatives or familiar faces, but strangers who radiated wisdom and compassion. They weren't idle or passive. Instead, she observed that these souls seemed to be participating in an enormous community. Some were guiding newly departed spirits across the threshold, offering comfort and orientation. Others were studying, almost as if continuing their education, but on a spiritual plane. The woman was astonished to realize that learning doesn't stop after death. Growth continues, purpose deepens, and each soul has a role to play in the grand design. She explained that the dead don't wander aimlessly. They're deeply engaged in missions of teaching, healing, and preparing for what comes next. This contradicted her prior belief that death was the end. Instead, she discovered it was the beginning of a far more active existence, one that made earthly life feel like a small chapter in a much larger book. One of the most shocking truths she uncovered was that dead people are working, but not in the earthly sense. Instead, they are helping guide the living. She saw souls whispering inspiration into the hearts of their loved ones, nudging them toward opportunities, protecting them from unseen dangers. Some were working with entire communities, steering them toward higher consciousness and peace. Others were engaged in what she described as soul restoration, assisting those who died with trauma to heal from earthly wounds. Death, she realized, is not the end of responsibility, it's the expansion of it. Souls graduate into roles that serve the collective good, orchestrating synchronicities and weaving invisible threads that shape human lives. The work of the dead is vast and organized, and it revealed to her that what we call coincidence in life is often the hand of departed loved ones still active, still present, still guiding us. Another revelation was that there are places she described as schools or temples of light where souls gather to learn. These schools aren't about academic lessons, but spiritual ones, understanding compassion, universal laws, and the nature of creation itself. She said souls practice energy, learn how thoughts shape realities, and even prepare for reincarnation. What shocked her most was that death is not rest, but preparation. Many souls were actively training, studying, and mastering new skills for future lifetimes. The afterlife, she explained, is like a vast university where learning never ceases. The dead aren't idle, they're evolving. Every soul continues its path of growth, working toward a state of deeper wisdom and unity with the divine. She returned from her experience understanding that life on Earth is a classroom, but death is graduation into a much larger school, one that never ends. Finally, the woman came face to face with a truth that shattered her old beliefs. She realized the dead are not gone. They are among us, engaged in a great web of activity that connects the living and the departed. The shocking truth she brought back is that every human life is constantly surrounded by guidance, love, and unseen help. The departed are not merely watching, they're actively involved in the unfolding story of humanity. She explained that when we feel intuition, inspiration, or sudden clarity, it's often the whisper of these souls. Death, she said, is not an ending, but a shift in responsibility. The dead continue to serve, continue to love, and continue to shape the destiny of those still alive. This ultimate realization changed her forever, erasing her fear of death and filling her life with awe for the unseen connections binding us all. She recalled being led to a vast, luminous hall that she could only describe as a library, not filled with books, but with living streams of light. Each stream, she was told, represented the memories and experiences of every soul that ever lived. Dead people, she discovered, often visit this place to review their past lives and understand the lessons they carried forward. Souls weren't punished or condemned, but encouraged to see their choices with honesty. The shocking part? She saw that the dead not only relived their own moments, but could also feel how their actions impacted others. Every laugh, every tear, every act of kindness or cruelty echoed back. The library wasn't about judgment, it was about growth. Here, the dead continued their journey by learning from the ripple effects of their lives on Earth. Not every soul enters the afterlife peacefully. She witnessed groups of spirits who had endured trauma, violence, or despair in their earthly lives. These souls were gently guided to special places of healing, surrounded by beings of light. She said it looked like hospitals, but instead of doctors, there were glowing presences radiating compassion. These beings helped the wounded souls release pain, fear, and anger that clung to them. The shocking truth was that healing continues after death. Souls don't carry eternal torment, but instead are given endless chances to recover and find peace. She realized that what we often call ghosts might simply be souls still undergoing this process of release, struggling to fully transition into the light. In her journey, the woman encountered what she described as a council, an assembly of advanced souls who radiated extraordinary wisdom and authority. These were not judges, but guides who helped souls reflect on their choices and map out future paths. The dead, she explained, often meet this council to review their purpose and consider reincarnation. What shocked her was that life is not random, it is chosen. Before returning to Earth, souls sit with this council to decide the lessons they wish to learn, the challenges they must face, and even the people they will meet. Suddenly, her own life's hardships made sense. She realized they weren't punishments, but chosen experiences for growth. She also discovered that some souls were busy creating. In this realm, thought was power, and intention shaped reality. She saw groups of the departed working together to construct beautiful landscapes, radiant cities, and sanctuaries of light. These weren't illusions, they were real within that dimension. Souls collaborated like architects of energy, building realms for teaching, healing, and rest. The dead, she realized, were creators, constantly shaping their environments with collective imagination. This stunned her because it revealed that creation is not limited to Earth. The afterlife is alive with activity, innovation, and co-creation at a cosmic level. The woman saw that many souls take on the role of guardians. These spirits are assigned, or sometimes volunteer, to watch over the living, particularly family members or people connected through past bonds. She described seeing a grandmotherly figure shielding her descendants from harm, whispering encouragement during times of struggle. The dead don't simply vanish, they remain protectors, walking invisibly beside us. The shocking part was how deliberate this was, nothing random. Guardian spirits dedicate themselves to guiding humanity's journey, ensuring that even in our darkest hours, we are never truly alone. Another astonishing revelation was how time operated in the afterlife. She said souls weren't bound by the ticking of clocks or calendars. A single moment could stretch into eternity, while centuries could pass in what felt like seconds. The dead, she realized, experience existence outside linear time. This explained why they can appear in dreams or intervene at precise moments. They move freely across timelines. The shocking truth is that while we struggle with minutes and hours, The departed navigate a far more fluid reality, one where past, present, and future can coexist. One of the most emotional parts of her journey was reuniting with loved ones who had died before her. She described it not as a vague encounter, but as a powerful embrace that felt more real than anything on Earth. But what shocked her most was that even people she barely remembered, distant ancestors, childhood friends, were present, greeting her with joy. She learned that death is not the end of connection. Families and communities reunite, waiting to welcome each new arrival. These reunions revealed that love is stronger than death, binding souls together across lifetimes. She was shown how many spirits were in preparation for their next earthly journey. Some were excited, others hesitant, but all were deliberate. Souls chose their circumstances, whether rich or poor, healthy or disabled, based on the lessons they wanted to master. It shocked her to realize that even suffering has a purpose. The dead aren't punished by fate. They willingly step into challenges to evolve spiritually. She saw souls lining up like students preparing for a new class, eager to take on the adventure of life once again. The woman also discovered how the dead orchestrate synchronicities in our lives. What we dismiss as coincidences, meeting the right person at the right time, finding guidance in unexpected places, are often the result of unseen coordination by souls. She saw spirits weaving events together like threads in a tapestry, ensuring that humans encounter opportunities for growth. This shattered her belief in random chance. The dead, she realized, are silent architects of destiny, shaping the flow of our lives with precision and care. In the afterlife, she learned that thoughts were not private, they were creative forces. Souls could instantly manifest shapes, colors, and entire environments with pure intention. But this also meant that fear or negativity could shape darker realities. The dead are constantly learning to master their thoughts, using them to build rather than destroy. She realized this was the ultimate training ground. The afterlife taught souls the creative responsibility they would later bring back into physical existence. The shocking truth: we are practicing creators here on Earth, preparing for mastery in the realm beyond. She observed that many souls spend time trying to communicate with loved ones still alive. They sent impressions through dreams, synchronicities, or sudden flashes of memory. Some managed to manipulate energy to cause small signs, flickering lights, familiar scents, or feelings of presence. She realized the dead aren't silent. They are constantly reaching out, though most of us don't recognize it. What shocked her most was that they often speak through our intuition. The quiet voice we dismiss is often the whisper of those beyond. The woman described being led into landscapes more beautiful than Earth could ever imagine. Fields of endless color, skies alive with music, rivers glowing with light. Souls wandered freely, filled with peace and joy. But she noticed that many souls gathered here not just to rest, but to celebrate. The dead hold festivals, shared moments of laughter, and bonds of pure love. Death was not sorrowful, but vibrant, filled with life beyond life. It shocked her to realize the dead experience joy far greater than we can comprehend. Among the departed, she found certain souls who had advanced far beyond ordinary understanding. These were teachers, guides who dedicated themselves to helping others ascend. They radiated wisdom that felt infinite, yet they spoke with gentleness and patience. The shocking part was that these teachers had once been ordinary humans. They were not gods or angels, but souls who had mastered compassion and chosen to dedicate eternity to guiding others. She realized that greatness is not reserved for the few. It is the destiny of all. She was surprised to encounter animals, beloved pets, but also wild creatures. They too had a presence in the afterlife, vibrant and free. She saw them playing, running, and existing without fear. Some even worked alongside souls, offering comfort and companionship. The shocking truth was that animals are eternal beings too, sharing the journey of creation. She realized our bonds with them do not end with death. The love between humans and animals continues, and they remain part of the great circle of life beyond life. She discovered that not every soul moves on immediately. Some choose to linger close to Earth, often to watch over loved ones or finish unresolved tasks. They weren't trapped, but voluntarily stayed near the physical realm. This explained the presence of spirits people sometimes feel in their homes or dreams. The dead are not restless. They are purposeful, staying behind out of love, loyalty, or unfinished missions. She realized that their presence isn't to frighten us, but to remind us we are never abandoned. The woman was shown how forgiveness is a powerful force in the afterlife. Souls often meet those they had conflicts with on Earth. But instead of anger, there is healing. The shocking truth? Many of the dead spend time reconciling, releasing grudges, and mending bonds that seemed broken forever. Forgiveness, she realized, is not just for the living. It continues in the next realm, freeing souls to evolve into higher states of love and unity. She saw that some spirits were involved in shaping humanity's collective future. These souls worked together, influencing leaders, thinkers, and artists. They guided the unfolding of ideas, inventions, and movements that would elevate humanity. The dead, she realized, were not disconnected from the world. They were helping build the future. What shocked her most was that great breakthroughs in history are often seeded by the whispers of the departed. She encountered souls of children who had died young. Instead of sorrow, she witnessed joy. These children were nurtured and cared for by loving presences, continuing to grow and evolve. They played in radiant fields, learning in gentle ways. The shocking truth was that no life is wasted, no matter how short. Every soul continues to blossom, and children in the afterlife experience a happiness beyond earthly limits. In her journey, she met beings she called keepers, souls dedicated to preserving the great records of existence. They safeguarded the memories, experiences, and histories of countless lives. She realized this was part of the so-called Akashic records, a universal archive accessible to the dead. What shocked her most was that these records weren't static. They evolved as souls grew. Every choice added to the tapestry of creation, and the keepers ensured nothing was ever lost. One of the most beautiful revelations was the music she heard. It wasn't played by instruments, but flowed naturally from the environment. The skies themselves seemed to sing, and every soul contributed to the harmony. The dead, she explained, often join in this cosmic symphony, their essence blending with sound and light. The shocking truth was that music is universal. It exists not only on Earth, but in the very fabric of creation, and the dead use it to express joy, healing, and unity. She discovered that when people die, their consciousness expands far beyond what they had on Earth. The dead don't only remember their last lifetime. They recall multiple past lives, seeing patterns and lessons stretching across centuries. She said it was like suddenly remembering every page of a book you had once written. This expansion gave the dead a much greater perspective. They could understand why hardships happened, why certain people entered their lives, and how everything was interconnected. The shocking truth was that much of what seems meaningless in life is revealed as perfectly orchestrated when viewed from this higher awareness. She observed souls who were drawn toward creative people on Earth, musicians, writers, painters, and inventors. These departed spirits would whisper ideas, plant visions, and inspire masterpieces. The dead, she realized, often act as muses, pushing humanity to create beauty and innovation. What shocked her was how many of the world's greatest works of art and genius were not born from human effort alone, but from collaboration between the living and the departed. Inspiration itself, she understood, is a bridge between worlds. The woman was shown that compassion is one of the highest lessons souls carry into the afterlife. Some spirits dedicate themselves to teaching others how to cultivate empathy, kindness, and unconditional love. She described seeing souls practicing forgiveness, healing one another's wounds, and learning how to radiate love without condition. The shocking truth was that compassion isn't just a moral quality, it's a spiritual power. In the afterlife, the dead train to wield it as one of the greatest forces in existence. She also saw souls deeply connected to Earth's ecosystems. These departed spirits watched over forests, rivers, and animals, protecting them from harm. She described them as stewards of the planet's energy. They weren't human guardians in the traditional sense, but spirits who had chosen to care for nature after death. The shocking part was realizing that the dead continue to shape the balance of Earth itself, ensuring that creation is preserved for generations to come. She described a moment when she was drawn deeper into the light itself, a brilliance so overwhelming that it dissolved her sense of separation. In this state, she felt united with everything and everyone. The dead, she realized, often move toward this light as part of their ultimate journey, where individuality melts into unity with the divine. But the shocking truth was that souls can choose when to fully merge. Some continue working in realms of learning and service, while others surrender completely to the source. Death is not a single step, but a vast journey of choices and destinations. The woman saw certain souls who act as messengers. Their purpose was to carry wisdom from the afterlife back to the living through dreams, visions, and near-death experiences like her own. These spirits are bridges, ensuring that humanity never forgets its connection to the greater reality. The shocking part was that her own experience was orchestrated by these messengers. They allowed her to glimpse the truth so she could return and share it.